What's up everyone? I hope you guys are all having a great day. My name is Spencer Lamb and this is my Advocacy Project for my Writing 60 class. And in this video, I'll be discussing the American prison system and its impact on specifically the state of California. I'll be connecting my information with some of the pieces of literature that I've read throughout the class, written by Black scholars, and many other academic papers, articles, and videos. So right now, just sit back, relax, and enjoy this video. Before we begin, I think that we should be defining the American prison system. Now, I believe that the prison system is a place of punishment and confinement for individuals to reflect on the crimes that they have committed. And this isn't only reflected within the physical jail itself, but affects the laws and regulations in the United States. Angela Davis, an American Marxist and feminist political activist, wrote the novel Are Prisons Obsolete?, published back in 2003. So I have a copy with me right here. Is this the right? Oops. Oh, actually, this is the wrong one. Wait. Davis has her own definition of the prison system, and she states, "These prisons represent the application of sophisticated modern technology dedicated entirely to the task of social control as they isolate, regulate, and surveil more effectively than anything that has preceded them." She then proposes a question to the readers. Are we willing to relegate ever larger numbers of people from racially oppressed communities to an isolated existence marked by authoritarian regimes, violence, disease, and technologies of seclusion that produce severe mental instability? Here in this question, Davis asks us to reflect on the moral and ethical dimensions of societal structure that perpetuate racial oppression. It calls for an examination of whether our society is willing to continue tolerating or even contributing to the severe marginalization and mental destabilization of racially oppressed communities, thus urging a call to action for justice and systematic change. Alright, I know that was a lot of talking, but right now let's take a quick break and ask our friends a couple of questions about the prison system. Alright, I'm here today with Nathan. I'm gonna ask you a question real quick. Is that good, Nathan?
Yeah, that's good.
Alright, how many prisons do you think there are in California?
Let's say 25.
I'm here with Leo. How many prisons do you think there are in California?
32.
Alright everyone, I'm here with George today. I have a quick question for you. How many prisons do you think there are in California?
I think probably 1,200.
1,200 prisons in California? Okay. Alright, I'm here with Ryan today. How many prisons do you think there are in California?
Maybe like 100.
Alright guys, I'm here with Spike today. How many prisons do you think there are in California?
I think there's 268 prisons in California.
Alright, I'm here with Arvin today. How many prisons do you think there are in California?
At least 5,000.
According to Angela Davis, she states, there are now 33 prisons, 38 camps, 16 community correctional facilities, and 5 tiny prisoner mother facilities in California. And as someone who lives in California, I didn't even know that we had that many prison facilities. And with over 2 million people in United States prisons, jails, youth facilities, and immigrant detention centers, we really should be educated about the prison system because it impacts our society, our laws, and our regulations. In the book, Are Prisons Obsolete?, Angela Davis emphasizes the importance of implementing rehabilitation programs and restorative justice practices. And I believe that by amplifying the emphasis on practical, real-world application within rehabilitation or even prisons for incarcerated individuals could potentially reduce recidivism rates and decrease the overall prison population in the United States. So now let's dive a little bit deeper. Michelle Alexander, another African-American scholar, wrote the novel The New Jim Crow: Mass Incarceration in the Age of Color Blindness. And in the novel, she explains even more shocking statistics. The United States now has the highest rate of incarceration in the world, dwarfing the rates of nearly every developed country, even surpassing those in highly repressive regimes like Russia, China, and Iran. In Germany, 93 people are in prison for every 100,000 adults and children. In the United States, the rate is roughly 8 times that, or 750 per 100,000. With such high numbers, Michelle Alexander advocates for change and the cease of mass incarceration. Kelly Little Hernandez, the author of City of Inmates, Conquest, Rebellion, and the Rise of the Human Caging in Los Angeles. I got the copyright. She states that there are nearly 17,000 men, women, and youth locked somewhere in Los Angeles County's $1 billion system worth of jails, detention centers, and one penal farm. Hernandez presents a compelling critique of the carceral system in Los Angeles, emphasizing the extensive scale, historical roots, and profound impacts of mass incarceration. Her analysis not only sheds light on the specific conditions in Los Angeles, but also contributes to a broader conversation about justice, equity, and the need for systematic reform in the United States. Alright, so here we have a Venn diagram comparing the two authors, Michelle Alexander and Kelly Lytle Hernandez. Alexander wrote the novel The New Jim Crow, which has more generalized information about the United States and the prison system, while Hernandez wrote the novel City of Inmates, while it had more specific information about the prison systems in Los Angeles. Alexander is 56 years old, while Hernandez is 50 years old, and Alexander had her education at Vanderbilt University and Stanford Law School, while Hernandez had her education at UCLA and UCSD. And the two things that they share together, which is right here, this middle section, both of them are African American scholars. They both focus their works on mass incarceration, racism, abolition of prisons, rehabilitation programs, and the reform and policy change. So we can see that the two authors have very similar ideas, which is why they're so interconnected. Sandra Gallia, a professor and dean of Boston University School of Public Health, has more insight in a quick note titled Addressing the Horrors of Mass Incarceration, and he explains, about 2.7 million American children have a parent who is incarcerated. This includes 11.4% of Black children, 3.5% of Hispanic children, and 1.8% of white children. Lack of a two-parents household can do much to undermine life outcomes. High incarceration rates in a community can also affect communities by undermining mental health. As explained here by Gallia, the absence of a parent due to incarceration can negatively impact family structures, which can in the end lead to single-parent households. And this affects the children's lives by limiting the amount of emotional support and economic resources provided. And lastly, this influences mental health for both the inmates and their families. For the incarcerated individuals, they may experience loneliness and isolation, and for the families, they may experience emotional distress or financial strain. In the work, The Prison Slave as Homogeny Scandal by Frank B. Wilderson, he introduces Azada Shakur, a political activist and member of the Black Liberation Army. Wilderson explains one of Shakur's experiences. At the time, I felt that anything below 110th Street was another country. All my activities were centered in Harlem, and I almost never left it. Doing defense committee work was definitely not up to my alley. I hated standing around while all these white people asked me to explain myself, my existence. I became a master of the one-liner. Here, Shakur reflects her feelings of isolation and discomfort every time she was to engage with communities outside of Harlem. Shakur did not have the presence of her parents because she ran away at a young age, but did have her aunt to take care and support her. And although Shakur was never in prison, this is just one example of how not having parents can influence a person's sense of belonging and identity, potentially leading to feelings of alienation and self-reliance in navigating various social environments. Alright, I know that was a lot of talking again, so right now let's take a quick break and watch an educational video.
So it's about 9 o'clock in the morning. We're about 10 minutes away from going inside to Valley State Prison, supposedly one of the most progressive prisons in all of the country. The nickname is Prisneyland, although from the outside, it looks pretty standard, but we'll see what the inside looks like.
All of that is why officials say the Golden State is trying to move in a new direction, starting a pilot program at 2 facilities with the goal to replicate the results in Scandinavia, where Norway says reforms over the last 2.5 decades have have brought down the rate of reoffending within 2 years to only 20%, much lower than here in the U.S. They've also decreased the prison population significantly and have helped people reincorporate into society after they serve their time.
You have a key to your own cell.
Yeah, everybody has their own key.
Authorities here say the most important thing they're trying to change at Valley State Prison is how it feels.
As explained in the video, Valley State Prison, along with other California facilities, are taking a better approach to the prison system situation. Prisoners have their own sets of keys into their rooms. They have a giant outdoor playing area with grass and basketball courts. They have an education program ranging from high school all the way to college level, dog training programs, and other various activities that are keeping them busy. And with these ideas, incarcerated individuals will not feel trapped, isolated, depressed, and most likely willing to change from their bad habits into good people. Now, I just want to close off my thoughts here. We as US citizens can advocate for these creative and innovative ideas to the government, potentially reducing crime rates and the amount of prisoners in jail. We can spread awareness by having peaceful protests. Just imagine the impact that this can have to the millions of people in the United States. We can post media, create journals, blogs, and even podcasts. But we can't stop there. The true change requires us to become more than just passive observers. We must become active participants in our democracy, become more civically engaged, become supportive of the programs that provide education, mental health services, and job opportunities, ultimately breaking the cycle of incarceration. And lastly, we can become more aware of the situation as a whole. When we become more aware of the circumstances that lead individuals to crime, we can push for reforms that offer second chances and rehabilitation instead of punishment and isolation. We can advocate for restorative justice practices that heal rather than harm, that bring communities together rather than tear them apart. It is up to us as US citizens to make this vision a reality. We must come together and share our voices and believe in the potential of every individual. Together, we can create a society where justice is fair, communities are supportive, and everyone has the opportunity to thrive. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you learned a little bit more about the prison system and mass incarceration in California. We'll see you all in the next video. Have a great day. Peace.